rich in cultural diversity and local culture. For tourists, it's probably one of the best picturesque places to visit in Asia. Did you know that Indonesia has over 199 traditional dances, 724 traditional languages, and 1,340 ethnicities? Mind blowing. In recent decades, the fashion industry has been undergoing a massive evolution process thanks to technology. However, the fashion industry in Indonesia has got its own set of challenges. Today, I'll be speaking with Ms. Riri Rengganis, who is the Executive Vice Chairman of the Indonesian Fashion Chamber, to find out just what those challenges are. Watch this.
Okay, let's welcome Ms. Riri Rengganis, who's the Executive Vice Chairman of the Indonesian Fashion Chamber. Ms. Riri, welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Now, before we actually get into the details of the Indonesian Fashion Chamber, I believe our viewers want to know who you are, where you come from, what you do, and why do you do it. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about you and your past? We want to know about the lady behind the Indonesian Fashion Chamber.
Okay, thank you, Francis, for this opportunity to be here. My name is Riri Rengganis, and I am a fashion designer based in Bandung, Indonesia. And basically, I just started out with a hobby of sewing since I was 8 years old. And then fast forward to graduating from art school, I studied product design, and then I worked in a garment company and jewelry company and many other kinds of disciplines since 2000. And then around 2004, I started my own business in the uniform for hotels. So I produced and designed hotel uniforms for Bali, because that's where I lived during my years after I graduated. So that was since 2004. And then 2008, I decided to start my own brand. And I started out with making a brand that promotes traditional Indonesian designs, including the textiles and the traditional styled kebaya. And then after that, my brand grew, and I realized that maybe if I needed more exposure, it would be a good step to join some kind of a community, like either an association or community of professionals, things like that. And there are so many communities in Indonesia that gather these kinds of designers. And I was interested in IFC because I think at the time I already knew some of the people, and the founders looked like they were the types that were, humble, and they want to teach a lot to the juniors, because a lot of the fashion industry associations or the people in the industry, they're usually looking for designers that are, glamorous and then high-end kind of products. But with IFC, it looks like they were actually looking for the younger generation, which are even if they were beginners, and then they actually teach and hand down the knowledge of what is needed to be in the fashion industry. So that's why I joined, and I was not wrong. I was very happy with the atmosphere there, because all of my seniors were very welcoming, and they taught so much to me about how to build my brand, and then we got lots of exposure from there.
Right, you have an amazing past, really colorful past, actually.
Yeah, I didn't even mention half of it.
Well, now let's talk about the Indonesian Fashion Chamber. I believe as a chamber, you have a vision. And that vision is that Indonesia can become a global fashion capital by adhering to the philosophy of local inspiration with contemporary spirit. Now, can you tell us more about this and about your goals for the fashion industry in Indonesia?
Yeah. First of all, Indonesia has such a unique fashion industry because the market is already very large and the makers are everywhere. Like, you can find from high-end couture bridal gowns all the way to the crafters and artisans of textiles that turn into self-taught designers. You can find these like in almost every single city in Indonesia. That's why the potential is really high, and IFC sees this as something that we should embrace, the vastness of our range, from the craftsmanship that we already have in the country with the knowledge of fashion design for the global market. And then we can actually have a good positioning in the global industry. That's basically what we see in Indonesia. But this can only be achieved through proper research and then collaborations between the members, and then collaborating with the government, collaborating with the textile industries that we have, and so on. So IFC works not on just building the designers, but we also try to create the ecosystem for the industry to actually roll. And ultimate goal is to have our members able to create brands that are ready to wear, but promotes our craftsmanship. So we call it ready to wear craft fashion. So that's what we hope will set us apart from the designers of other countries.
I'm pretty sure you're well on your way. Pretty sure you're well on your
Thank
way.
you.
You know,
I hope so.
Personally, I have a little bit of a fashion background as well, because when I first started out, I was in Club 21. And Club 21 happens to be a fashion powerhouse in Singapore as well. Holds quite a number of brands like Giorgio Armani, Emporio Armani, Gigli, Max Mara, quite a number of brands actually. And that is actually where I spend my younger years, in fact. Now, if let's say, if I decided to venture into Indonesia to set up a small fashion business, what would you say would be the best options for me, and how would you, as a chamber, assist me in my venture?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would directly ask you straightforwardly, what is or how much capital are you willing to invest?
Wow.
That would be, yes, because if you would venture in the business, I mean, the range is so large. You can start small, or you can already start big, because the market is already very big here. So it just depends on what you're planning to do. But basically, all the resources are here, from the textile industry to the designers, the artisans, and then the production. You can start from small tailoring companies or to the garment companies directly. And then we also have like lots of digital marketing consultants all over Indonesia, and a lot of retail space also. And the online market is also growing very, very fast in Indonesia. So basically all the resources are here, and it really depends on what you want, whether you want to start small with a niche market, or you want to make something very ready to wear, big, targeting to the large market. It's all here. And IFC has a very wide range of backgrounds in the members, and we can just connect you to all of those if you already know what you want. And we can also like help with the marketing, because we also have 250 members, which are, we all have our own social media and everything. And then like if we collaborate with investors and then with members of the IFC, we can actually build a brand that is very large.
Wow. That is amazing. It's amazing what you can actually do for me. Now, when we talk about how you actually support your members, what are some of the initiatives and projects undertaken by the Indonesian Fashion Chamber aimed at supporting basically the needs of your members? What are their needs, and how do you go about supporting them?
Yeah. Well, basically, most of our activities are in the form of fashion events.
Right.
like fashion shows and exhibitions, and there are some on a national scale and on a regional scale, because we have chapters in 13 cities around Indonesia. So like almost every month we have events on either of the cities taking turns. And then all of that creates exposure for our members, of course.
Okay.
And but I think the advantage of these events are because IFC has a close relationship with the media. So every single time we have an event, the media, the national media, online and magazines and print and even the newspapers, they support us very, very well. And we can feel directly the impact every time we join one of the events made by IFC. We always, get into the newspapers or the media, local and national. So that's, I think, the biggest impact that we feel from the activities made by IFC. But also, aside from events, we also do educational programs like seminars on trend forecasting, digital marketing, fashion history, product development, and things like that, because not every single member has an educational background from design school.
Okay.
A lot of them actually came from just business background, and then they learned about the fashion afterwards, or they were tailors, but they had the urge to become designers. So a lot of them are self-taught, and we should fill in these gaps of knowledge through our educational programs, and we do that routinely every year. And then we also help members to join curation, so they can be curated for certain programs that are existing from maybe the government, or maybe there's a mall opening somewhere, and then they ask us to, can you look for members that are right for this market? And then we search through our database, and then we submit all of their profiles and things like that. And then while doing that, we also teach them how to make the proper company profile and how to promote their brands, things like that. And last but not least is we work with the government in creating those programs, events and educational, because sometimes our industry needs that kind of support in order to reach a bigger goal, like such as if we want to reach the export market, we join the government's big events, such as Jakarta Muslim Fashion Week or Trade Expo Indonesia and things like that. And then they come to us to select which brands are ready to join those. And then they make like boot camps, seminars and things like that. So there's a lot of process to making our members better and better.
Wonderful. Now, this is something inevitable, something we need to talk about. We just went through a massive war with the COVID virus, the pandemic. Right now, most countries are out of it. Some countries are actually still getting out of it.
Yeah.
So as we move towards a post-pandemic world, help us to understand to what extent did COVID-19 and the various restrictive measures that were put into place, how did this affect the economy in Indonesia, especially the fashion industry? And also, how bad was this impact of COVID-19? And what did you do as a chamber to step in and assist your members during this difficult period?
Yeah, well, it was devastating, just like for everyone else in other countries. We dropped in sales like by 100%, but me personally, I dropped like 80%, from 100 to 20% sales, and that lasted for a few months. And then the very first couple of months the pandemic came, IFC actually made a lot of, maybe like you could say, we did talk shows and we did a lot of discussions within the members on what to do next. And then, there's always people that are optimistic and then the ones that are pessimistic, you know, and it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to be, to be among friends that are going through the same problem, but
You
we
are
can
not
share.
alone. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We shared our concerns and shared our ideas also.
Right.
So aside from that, IFC also connected with many media partners and made routine online talk shows just to spread awareness, not just to our members, but to the whole country about how important it is to get digital. And we did sharing sessions with successful designers to keep our struggling members motivated. And then we did online seminars on trend shifts in the consumer. So we learned how to change our products to adjust to the needs of the new consumer during the pandemic lifestyle. And then on the very first year of the pandemic, we already learned how to make hybrid fashion shows. So we didn't slow down at all, but we quickly shifted our methods of promoting ourselves. And then the idea is basically no matter what happens, we still have to exist. And the whole Indonesia has to see that IFC is still working hard and still creating stuff. So even if the fashion shows were hybrid and we only got like a very small number of views, but we still kept going. And then it just rolled until the pandemic became 3 years and we were already used to the digital transformation.
Yeah, you know, many different industries have gone through this as well.
Yes.
Especially because of COVID-19, consumers' purchasing behavior has evidently changed over the last 2 years, right? And business models also have adapted to the various changes by the various fashion powerhouses as well. As I understand, the government is also encouraging the Indonesian fashion industry and the various players to improve on digitalization. Now, as companies move forward and go into digitalization, what are some of the challenges faced by the fashion industry in Indonesia as the shift towards the adaptation of technology in their business takes place?
Yeah, well, actually, it really depends on the personal level of each designer and owner, because from what I see is many of our younger members who are very, digital and technology savvy, they learn quickly and then they just boosted their online presence. And now they're actually growing, like multiplying with their sales compared to before the pandemic.
Yeah,
and actually that's also happening to me. Thank God, like I already had a website way before the pandemic, so I was used to doing that also. And then I was already quite existing in the online world, so we didn't really have much struggle in bouncing back. And then the market also enjoyed shopping online better during the whole pandemic. So a lot of us actually grew in terms of business, but the ones that fail to learn about the technology, of course, they're still struggling until today. That's what I see. So the major challenge is just to get out of your comfort zone and learn the new stuff. And apparently not everybody can do that.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people take some time to adapt as well, because to a lot of people, they didn't feel the need for technology, and now you know everything is digital, and you know all the buying is online. It's easier, it's more convenient. There are more options. Unfortunately, when you buy fashion online, you can't try them on. But hey, you know, I believe a lot of retailers have a system whereby if it doesn't fit, you can actually change it. So it's more convenient for people. Now, there's a lot of talk about the move towards sustainable and ethical fashion in Indonesia. So what would you think would be the challenges faced by the smaller ones, the smaller players in fashion in the foreseeable future as they move? I mean, I'm not sure if they're forced to be moved in this direction, but they're moving in this direction. So what do you think the challenges are?
Yeah, well, Indonesia has an advantage of having so many small scale industries. So most of these are already run on some kind of sustainable aspect, right? And IFC consistently educates its members about sustainability. And the challenges are, of course, we have difficulty in competing in price with the other big brands that are coming from garment companies. So sustainable materials are expensive, and we are mostly small scaled, so productivity and efficiency cannot be compared to the garment industries. So we can only win through creativity and our storytelling and educating the market. So the consumers from this niche market is actually getting smarter and smarter, and this genre of sustainable fashion is actually growing very fast, and it's very exciting to be in that line. But yeah, it's still a niche market, and it's still considered expensive. So we still have a lot of work to do in educating the market, the larger population, about going towards sustainable lifestyle and consumption.
Right.
So basically the problems are just the high cost of making sustainable things and then educating the market about it.
Yeah, this is something which is really important, but it's inevitable that, you know, some businesses will feel the pinch, but hey, you know, we have to move in that direction. Now,
yes,
this is, you know, when we set up a business, no matter where you set it up, big ones or small ones, it's all about connections, local and international. You know, the more connections you have, the more options you have available for you. Now, what are the various activities that are run in the Indonesian Fashion Chamber that helps your members with this connectivity?
okay, well, we try. We try to connect with every opportunity available out there.
Right.
But the one that just started, like, I think it was last year, we started to have collaborations with the diaspora of Indonesia spread all around the world, because they have a very strong organization also. And they are helping us with making a website which contains our designers' profiles, and then among them, like they can go to that website and see who are the designers now in Indonesia, because all of them have been living abroad for such a long time. They don't know what's going on here, right? So through that platform, we are introduced to all of our fellow Indonesians around the world. So if they want to purchase, or if they have some kind of an event and then they look for Indonesian designers, they can easily find us there. And then our vice chairman, Ali Karisma, is also connected to the community of other associations in the fashion industry all around the world. So information about the global fashion events gets around really quickly. So we have collaborated in some events also, which were like online fashion shows, and then we just send our videos, and then it's made like into a digital fashion week in Russia or something like that, you know. So yeah, we do that kind of stuff also. And then the government programs that we are involved in are also aimed to curate our best designers and groom them for export readiness.
Right. So those are the things that you actually do to encourage connectivity. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. You know, when you talk about networking events, I'm pretty sure you have a lot as well, because being in the fashion industry, it's not just you, but there's so many other events on the outside that you can actually bring your members to, and you know, they can actually gain exposure to that as well. Now, quick question: would you be able to share with me one real world example of how somebody in Indonesia in the fashion industry took up your membership and benefited from it?
Okay, I would just speak from my own personal experience.
Yeah, sure.
Ever since I joined the association, I think it really depends on the person, like whether you really want to work hard and learn stuff, or just be a member and then enjoy the benefits and pay the membership, you know. So it's like it just depends on how we position ourselves. But me personally, I think that I would have to work hard and get as much benefits as possible by helping the organizers of the events and then create the programs and things like that. So that's why maybe within the few years I was in the association, I was already asked to be the vice executive chairman, because yeah, I was involved in a lot of the thinking and the working of preparing all these events. So having done that, I think my experience is very rich, and unconsciously I would actually know more about what the market needs, and that helps me develop my own products,
Right.
which it comes back to my own business. I learn about what's going on out there with all the events, and then the feedback of people, and then now I know what products are needed. And then aside from that, the exposure is also incredible. Like my followers on social media, it raised like 400% since
Right.
I joined, because yeah, as long as we're active and we are involved with all of the events, of course people would know, and
That's
it helps my
very true.
business.
Very true. You know, you're being very real, very, very real. And what you say is true, because we can't just join a chamber and expect everything to be handed out to us. We need to be
Yes,
involved, because what the
right.
chamber would do, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think a chamber would do is they would create opportunities. They would create
Mhm.
opportunities. They would open doorways. They will give you exposure. They'll be able to connect you with the right people. But you,
Right,
as an individual, you have to take the next step. You have to get yourself
right.
more involved in order to be able to benefit from all of this. Am I right?
Yes,
Ah,
true.
fantastic. I think I got the picture. Now, let's say a company or maybe an individual wants to sign up for a membership with the Indonesian Fashion Chamber.
Yeah,
What is the first step
yeah.
you have to take?
To become a member in IFC, you would have to have a background of having your own brand
Yeah,
or your own business
yeah.
in fashion. You would have a portfolio, and then a company profile or a designer profile, and then you can send it to our email or DM to our Instagram,
Yes.
which I
What
can
is your
share.
email?
Okay, the email is ifc.national.id@gmail.com,
Okay.
or you can just contact through direct message in our Instagram, which is at Indonesian Fashion Chamber. So it's just Indonesian Fashion Chamber, all connected, no
All right.
space.
All right.
So, and then we will have our curators, which will select and see if these new members are credible enough, and then we'll check backgrounds and then have a interview and things like that. And then it's very easy to join, actually.
It doesn't sound easy, but I think when you actually look into their background and check on them, what you guys are trying to do is you guys are trying to find the right fit to make sure that you don't bring in the wrong
Yes.
people into the chamber, which
Yeah, exactly.
which is something that needs to
Yes.
be done, because nobody wants to you attend an event and see people, they have no option but to connect with them, but doesn't do anything for them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say it's easy because the fashion community is quite tight in every country. We would know each other even though we're not members yet. Like I would know this guy if he's a nice guy, or if he's, like we would easily check their backgrounds through our communities.
Right. Now you know the chamber guy.
Yeah.
Right. Just before we end this amazing interview, just want to ask you, do you have any final words to say to the global business community and also the fashion powerhouses in the world?
Okay, so Indonesia's economy is growing in spite of the recent pandemic, and we're quite proud of it, because it seems like our strength is in the small companies, small and medium enterprises, and we're the ones that are surviving, like the
Right.
ones with employees less than 20 people, and we're actually surviving and thriving through the new technology. I mean, digital marketing in the fashion world is really good in Indonesia right now. And this is the best time for us to actually show who we are. And we're very lucky that we had the government support this fashion industry in the last, like 7 years, 8 years, because the government knows that the creative economy of Indonesia is mostly consisting of the culinary business and fashion. So fashion comes second,
Right.
after the culinary business. So fashion is very supported by the government right now with so many events and sponsorships and things like that. And I think now is the time that our designers are really showing their creativity. And so I just hope that everyone in the world can actually take a look at who are these designers from Indonesia and see the quality of our products, which I think are amazing, but not all of them. I mean, like the ones that are chosen and curated for these events, I think they're amazing and can really compete with the global designers out there.
Right. Not to worry, you have the support of the chamber guy.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Riri, it's been a pleasure having you. Thanks for joining our interview sessions. And I look forward to meeting you one day again in Indonesia. I'm going to be there next week for our event. It's going to be a great event.
Yes.
If you can, please swing by. You'll be my personal guest at the event which we are hosting.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
And thank you once again. And till the next interview, until something else comes up, I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was Ms. Riri Rengganis, the Executive Vice Chairman of the Indonesian Fashion Chamber. Point to note, to gain more from a chamber membership, you must get involved and really be involved in their expertise. To show your support for the fashion industry in Indonesia, or even to play an active part in the Indonesian Fashion Chamber, click on the link below. And if you wish to connect directly to Ms. Riri Rengganis, her details are below as well. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments below and remember to follow our channel for more interviews with chambers from around the world. See you soon on The Chamber Guy.